Welcome back to She Takes on the World TV. I'm your host, Natalie McNeil, and this is the Quick Habits series with world-renowned memory and brain performance expert, Jim Kwik. Let's dive into today's habits. So Jim, what is the next step in your morning routine?
So the next step is actually the simplest, but it's the one that some people overlook. I actually make my bed.
Every morning?
Every morning I make my
Amazing.
bed. I take 2 minutes to be able to do that. And why is it good for your brain? I'll give you a couple reasons why you want to be able to make your bed in the morning. I think everyone can make their bed, right?
Yes.
Number one, it starts your day with a success. Right, you want to start your day with positive momentum. There's a science to momentum, and there's a nice check mark to be able to have. And you want to start your day also with excellence, meaning that, and they do this at the military, right? Because how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes.
And you want that in every area of your life, to have that level of excellence to be able to do that. Another reason you do that is because your brain loves a clean environment. Because having a clean environment is important, because it's kind of like, you know, when you clean your desk or your office or your desktop, and all of a sudden you have clarity of mind here. And so it's important to have a what I call a quick brain, if you will, to have a clean environment. And one of the best benefits of it is when you come back at the end of your day, and you crushed it, right? And you won, but you come here also, no matter what kind of day you have, it's like you're coming back to success, right? You're coming to something that's successful here, and it's a nice way to end the day also as well. And so after I make the bed, the next thing that I do in my daily routine is I actually go into my bathroom and some people aren't going to like this answer, right? This is what I do.
What do you do,
to activate
Jim?
my brain is I go in and I take a very cold shower.
A very cold shower. How cold?
And so as cold as it could be. And the reason why is because it's cold therapy. And so, for example, if I bang my knee, you put ice on it, right? Because it reduces swelling, it reduces inflammation, and we know that a lot of high performers and athletes like Michael Phelps will actually take an ice bath, right? To reduce inflammation, because the inflammation you have in your body, you have it in your brain, and so that creates a lot of challenges, a lot of stress and anxiety and even disease. And so cold therapy is really powerful. So I'll jump into the shower, I'll put it on cold, and it's a great way to wake up. It's good for your skin, and it's good to reduce inflammation in your body and your brain to give you clarity. And it's almost better than my morning coffee.
It helps me to breathe very deeply when I do that. I find myself needing to take really deep breaths if I'm in the cold water. So you're saying that it reduces inflammation in the brain?
It does, in your whole system. And the other benefit of taking showers is it puts you into a theta state. A theta state is that state of creativity. Have you ever noticed, like, when you're in the shower, you have all these new ideas and all these new insights because the water's washing over you? It puts you in that brainwave state called theta, whereas that's actually where Einstein came up with a lot of his theories. He would do all these thinking experiments, these thought experiments, where he would imagine himself like he would be sitting on a rocking chair, imagining himself like on a beam of light looking at a clock and wondering what that clock would look like. And he would hold a rock in his hand because he didn't want to fall asleep and go into this delta state where you're sleeping. He wanted to stay in theta because if he fell asleep, he would drop the rock and it would wake him up, which is good. And so he did these kind of thought experiments. So I would encourage everyone to be able to do the same. You have all these great ideas when you take a shower. I actually took 6 showers this morning just to prepare for this interview.
I did not know that there was a scientific reason why we have all of our best ideas in the shower.
Yeah, so I recommend highly a cold shower. And so the next thing that I do is I go to the kitchen.
Let's go. Right. Next, we're in the kitchen. Now I just want to confirm, you still have not checked your phone at this point.
I have not touched my phone, no.
Amazing. Yes. Okay, so what is the next step in the kitchen?
So really simple things, and this is common sense, but common sense is not always common practice, okay? So as your brain coach, the next thing I do is I drink a tall glass of water. And people are like, oh, that's not rocket science. But I just want to remind you how important it is to be hydrated, because your brain is only about 2% of your body weight, but it requires 20% of the nutrients. And the thing is, after you sleep, you lose a lot of water, so you need to super hydrate. And so if you ever feel like you have brain fog or you don't have the energy, mental energy, you need to hydrate, right? And the other thing that I do is while I'm going to be making my tea, I make a brain tea every morning. And
I want to hear more about that.
Absolutely. And when I'm in the kitchen, though, I'm doing some breathing exercises, and very, very simple breathing exercises, because the other thing that the brain needs besides hydration, it needs oxygen. And a lot of people aren't fully breathing and they have bad posture, and the lower 1/3 of your lungs actually absorbs 2/3 of the oxygen, and so that's why it's important to breathe.
And
so,
what is your breathing technique?
So I do something called alpha breathing.
Okay.
Alpha breathing helps me get into a relaxed state of awareness. It's how I go into my morning meditation that I do outside by the gardens, which we saw earlier. I breathe in for 4, I hold for 4, and then I exhale for 4. So I'm breathing in my nose with my tongue right up on the roof of my mouth. So I breathe for a count of 4 in, 1, 2, 3, 4. I hold for 4, 2, 3, 4, and then I exhale for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I go through just 10 of those because I just want to oxygenate my body. I also am a big believer in hyperbaric chambers for people. It's a chamber you go into and they put oxygen in there to help you to be able to absorb more, but it's key for having brain energy. So I'm breathing here while I'm making my tea.
Tell me what is in this brain tea and what the benefits are.
So here, this is my brain mug, right? Because for me, I grew up with this brain injury, right? And so I never want people to suffer the way I did. And so for my mission, it's like no brain left behind. And so in the tea, I'm putting simple ingredients that you could find probably at your local health food store. I have gotu kola, I have ginkgo biloba. Lion's mane is really good for the brain, and I add in it, besides hot water, I add raw honey, which gives me some energy. And for some people they like honey, some people don't. I also want to put in some healthy fats because your brain needs fats. It's highly composed of fats, and so some people put coconut oil in there or some kind of form of that. I know some people do like a bulletproof tea or a bulletproof coffee, but the fat helps you to be able to absorb it really well. The other thing sometimes I'll have in the morning in replacement of this is I'll make a turmeric tea. Right? They called it this like golden milk, if you will. So turmeric, and you put, in addition to turmeric, you put some like heated almond milk, and you always want to add some pepper in it because it helps you absorb the turmeric a lot better. And the reason why turmeric, besides it's very tasty, going back to inflammation, it actually reduces the inflammation in your body. And so again, we're under all this stress from emotions, from anxiety, from work, information overwhelm, digital distraction, and so you want to keep your inflammation levels low, and the turmeric tea will absolutely help you to do that.
Do you eat in the morning? Do you eat a breakfast?
Great question.
What does that look like?
I personally don't. I intermittent fast, and so my first meal, really?
Yeah.
My first meal actually doesn't happen until lunchtime. And so I actually feel really good. I feel good for me, and this is just what I personally do. You don't want to, for me, I don't want to break my fast, like breakfast, breaking my fast. Like if I was to fast for X amount of days, which I do also, seasonally, I never want to break my fast with like eggs and bacon and stuff like that. I want to kind of ease into it. And so I intermittent fast, and then gradually, my diet mostly is a lot of vegetables and proteins and fish and so on. I actually did an episode on my podcast, my top 10 favorite brain foods, because you are what you eat, right? And so you want to eat good foods. And I'll show you that because one of the other things, so first of all, I make my tea, and then when I'm done when I make the tea, I sit down and I just journal for a little bit. And I journal, and I have my...
What do you journal about?
So my journal is actually... I use sometimes the 5-minute journal, or I just use a regular journal, and that's where I'm journaling. So it's interesting because I found that in my research of strategies of geniuses, a lot of geniuses in their respective fields journal. And I was always interested, is it because they're geniuses that they journal, or is it because they journal that they become geniuses?
And what did you find?
And I find that we actually could be smarter, faster, better in our field by journaling and reflecting on things. And so in my morning journals, I'm writing my general thoughts, and then I'm also going through and writing like the 3 things I'm most grateful for. Right, and the three things that I want to be today. Like everybody has a to-do list. I was talking about a not-to-do list, like not checking your phone. I also think we should have like a to-feel list or a to-be list. Like who do I want to be today? Might be even more. It's kind of corny, but it's true. Like we're not. human doings. We're human beings. So who do I want to be today?
And who did you want to be today?
So my thing is, okay, so I like talking about superheroes a lot, right? You look at the art in my home, and I have a lot of superheroes because they inspire me. And the reason why is because growing up with Learning Challenge, it took me an extra 3 years to learn how to read. And I taught myself how to read late at night when my parents thought I was sleeping by reading comic books. And something about the illustrations and good versus evil and that somebody can make a difference really inspired me and gave meaning to those words. And so I love superheroes, and that's what I call it the superhero you. I think everyone has the potential to be the best version of ourselves, and that you don't have to wait for Superman. It's like you are Superman, you are Superwoman, you are super teenager. You just have to be able to let it out. And what do superheroes do? They don't just have superpowers, although I think these morning routines can give you those powers, right? But you have to use those powers for good. And then that's what entrepreneurs are doing. I think today's entrepreneurs, I can see them wearing their capes on their back because modern day superheroes, they're creating jobs, they're creating value, they're solving problems that impact the triple bottom line, not just profit, but also people and also planet. So I like to journal about what's on my mind. I think there's a difference between note taking and note making. And so I'll use it as a creative expression.
And what is that difference between note taking and note making?
So when I take notes, I draw a line down the page. And so if I listen to a podcast or I go to a conference, I'm sitting in a lecture, on the left side, I'm actually taking notes. So I'm capturing the information. So I'm capturing, how do you learn a language? Or how do you speed read? Or how do you remember names, right? I'm capturing it. But on the right side, I'm creating notes, meaning I'm writing the impressions of what I'm capturing. So if this is note taking, on the right side, I'm note making. I'm actually creating. And so how does this relate to what I know, or what questions do I have, or how am I going to teach this to somebody else, right? Because if my attention goes somewhere, because most people get distracted, right, then I'd rather it go on the right side of my page so I could capture my imagination there all in one place, so it's useful that way.
I love that distinction.
Yeah, I think, again, going back to journaling, that some of the most amazing geniuses, they spend a lot of time in self-reflection. And I think self-awareness is a superpower.
Self-awareness is a superpower.
Self-awareness is your superpower, absolutely.
What's next in your routine?
After I drink my tea, I'm drinking my tea as I'm going through, and I'm journaling also as well. And somewhere in between maybe the shower and coming out, I do 2 or 3 minutes of just high intensity movement. Meaning that it's not my workout for the day. I do more of my workout in the afternoon because it just really serves me that way. But I just get my heart moving, right? So I get the blood flow going. So I'll maybe do calisthenics, or I'll do burpees. I also teach people how to do brain exercises. So if you do this, if you take your left hand, you put it to your right earlobe and just massage it. So your left hand, you massage your right earlobe, and your right hand to your left earlobe, like this. And you take an inhale through your nose and exhale. And then just squat down like this, and then exhale, come up while you're massaging. Inhale, and then exhale, come up. These are what they call. It's kind of interesting to do on camera, but they call this super brain yoga. It's a great
Super brain yoga.
Because here's the premise: as your body moves, your brain grooves. As your body moves, your brain grooves.
Love that.
And so good thing exercises for the brain actually, for example, or eating with the opposite hand is good for your brain. Because we all know that there's a brain-body connection, that if somebody, God forbid, has a stroke on the left side of the brain, if there's paralysis, it'll manifest on the right side of the body, right? And vice versa. But what people don't realize is not only is there this brain-body connection, there's this body-brain connection, that using your body in certain ways actually stimulates your brain. For example, there's a study done at Oxford University that says that jugglers have bigger brains. That by by learning how to juggle, just going on YouTube, learning how to juggle, it builds more white matter in your brain.
Wow.
So as your body moves, your brain grooves. So we teach a lot of different exercises in our programs on how to use your body to maximize your intelligence.
Juggling is going to have to go on my to-learn list.
Yes, that'd be a great challenge. And so I think physical movements is important. So for 2 or 3 minutes, I'll wake up my body, get my heart. Anything that's good for your heart is going to be good for your head, because your brain really needs blood flow, and that's where the heart comes in. And then, so after I'm done with that, then what I do is I come back in the kitchen and I make like a super brain smoothie.
Super brain smoothie.
A super brain
What
smoothie.
is in the super brain smoothie?
So I have some favorite brain foods, and so I teach people how to like memorize these, their grocery lists and fun things like that. Because sometimes maybe you're in the shower and you have this great idea, like I want to do this, but you have nowhere to write it down, right? And you can't put it on your phone or anything else like that. So certain foods are really good for your brain. So for example, avocado is good for your brain, right? Because it has the good fats. I call blueberries are very good for your brain. I call them brain berries, right? So you have brain berries. Things like broccoli is good for your brain. Coconut oil is good for your brain. Eggs, if that's part of your diet, is good for your brain. Green leafy vegetables is good for your brain. Certain wild fish like salmon is good for your brains, or if you don't eat salmon, like sardines are very good for your brain also as well. And so like all these, there's a lot of things like turmeric is good for.
You're not putting the sardines in the smoothie though, right?
No. So what I am doing is like turmeric is good for it also as well. And another one of my favorites is dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate. That one I like in the smoothie.
Yes, and water, and then that's the other thing. So I'll take maybe half of those ingredients, those brain healthy foods, and I'll make a smoothie out of it. I'll put the water in there, and I'll put the green leafy vegetables, put some avocado in there, and the brain berries, and put some kind of sweetener in there also as well, and maybe some chocolate if it tastes good. But I like to make a brain smoothie, and because it just nourishes, again, because these morning routines for me is all about activating my brain, jumpstarting my brain so I could jumpstart my day.